Hello, welcome to Curry Talks. I'm Michael Templeton, and this is the program where we learn more about people in the Curry community. Today's guest is Paul King, Director of Public Safety. Paul joined Curry in May of 2017 and is here to talk about the parking situation and his thoughts on it. Paul, welcome. Thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you for having me.
To start, many students drive on campus and seem to have trouble finding parking because it is so crowded. Are the parking lot sizes too small?
I don't believe the parking lot sizes are too small. I believe we like to park as close to a residence hall or classrooms as we can. And sometimes that means that all the students are going to come to an area and it's going to be very crowded. Unfortunately, we don't have enough parking to have students park in front of every one of their residence halls or every one of their academic buildings every time they have a class. Yeah. We accept the fact that you're going to go to a sporting event or a concert and have to walk. Unfortunately, we have to walk on campus also.
So there seems to be a lot more people on campus, especially commuters. This semester I learned that there's actually more commuters than residential students than in the last couple of years. I guess my next question is, what impact do commuters have in relation to this problem, maybe that influx in commuter students?
Well, I mean, it's definitely another addition to the problem. You're right, where we had resident students that may not have had a vehicle on campus. Now they become a commuter student and they do have the vehicle on campus. So, and to meet that growing need, we turned the basketball court into a commuter lot Monday through Friday. Again, we've been working with different student groups, with Residence Life, trying to determine what is our population going to look like in the future, and how are we going to be able to best satisfy them.
Right, right. So you were mentioning concerts, events. You know, outside of Curry, places like Disneyland have shuttles to reduce the struggles of finding parking, just more accessible ways of bringing people from point A to point B. You know, one idea is adding a shuttle bus to school would be great, would significantly reduce sort of that problem of finding parking. What are your thoughts on that? Would that be realistic?
Curry College used to have 2 shuttle buses that ran on campus years ago, prior to me, but they were, the student body voted that they wanted to kind of go green and save the planet, so they got rid of those. We currently have a student disability shuttle that runs during the day and a safety and security shuttle that runs at night for students that need it or they feel unsafe walking across campus. But yes, I think working with student government and working with the faculty, if that is a proposal the students would like to put forward, I think it's a great idea. Put it forward, we would vet it through the committees, and then hopefully come up to a resolution.
Right, right. You know, we think about transportation in the kind of the greater, in the Boston area. You think about the T station. You know, it's a good way to drop the car, get to where you need to go, saves a lot of parking spaces. Do you think the school, you know, promoting the use of the T more often, that was as a way to help sort of solve that sort of the stress just related to finding parking on campus? Obviously, you know, you say that, but then you think about the T, and you know, it's kind of difficult in a sense to access from campus. Like there's no T stop, you know, Curry College T stop. I guess, would the use of the T help this issue at all?
I think it would, and currently Curry College runs a Mattapan shuttle to the T station from 6 in the morning till 8 o'clock at night, and it runs every hour from campus back and forth to the T station. The shuttle is getting a lot of use this year, more than it has ever gotten in the past. So I think people are realizing, hey, you know, you're right, exactly what you said. If I park my car, now I get a ride in from the shuttle, I get a ride back out from the shuttle, and I go back on my car. It's one less vehicle on campus.
Now, just one more thing about thinking about like maybe public bikes. You know, we see that also in the city bike. You know, maybe any thoughts on that? You know, would that help at all? Again,
I think they'd be a great idea, right? Moving bikes back and forth across campus rather than taking a vehicle. It seems like it's a better, healthier way to transport yourself back and forth. Again, if we could get these proposals coming from the student body, I think they'd go a long way. So get involved, get to the student government, give them a proposal. We're working on a couple of changes now to try to relieve some of the anxiety of going back and forth across campus now. But these are proposals that come from student government.
Right.
We'd love to hear from you, and I think the student government would also.
Yeah. Well, I'd love to talk more about this, but we are out of time. But thank you so much for coming on, and you know, look forward to seeing what happens with this issue in the future. You know, we'll get something.
Thank you. It's been my pleasure.
Yeah, of course. I'm Mike Templeton. Please join me for another edition of Curry Talks.
Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Curry Talks, where we talk with members of the Curry community and get to know a little bit more about them. My name is Brian DeMille, and today we're here with Ken Carberry, the director of the Curry College radio station. Ken is an alum here who graduated in the 70s and is now shaking things up at the Curry College radio station. Hey, Ken, thanks for coming on to the show.
Happy to be here, Brian. Thanks for having me.
So, Ken, what is it like being back here on campus after being gone for so long?
Right. Well, I graduated 42 years ago, so it was a long time. And I did some teaching on and off over those 40 years. So I was involved here and there for a while. But yeah, overall, now that I'm here full time, it is a lot different. The place looks different in many respects, but in other respects, it's the same. We still have about the same size student body. It's larger, but it's still a nice small student body, and it still feels like home, I think, for those of us who've been here a while. So that's kind of nice. I like that still.
Well, the radio station definitely looks different. When you first came to the school, what would you say has changed most about WMLN?
Well, yeah, when I got here, just only the second year it was on the radio. Actually, it was what we called a closed circuit carrier current radio station. You had to be on campus near an electrical outlet to hear it, and I'm not kidding, with an AM radio. But the year before I came here, they went FM 10 watts. And so when I arrived, we were 10 watts FM, so it's a much lower power station than it is now. So that's one major difference, is we now cover a lot more area, plus now we're streaming. So quite frankly, we cover the world. Back then, there was obviously no streaming. We had turntables and cart decks, cart tape decks, things that just don't exist anymore. Now, of course, everything is digital. So in that regard, it's very different because it looks different. However, the building's the same building. The studios are still the same studios. And when it comes right down to it, you turn on a microphone and you talk. And that's the way we did it 40 years ago, too. So some ways different, in some ways not that different.
Well, Ken, while you were gone, you held some titles such as Supervisor Broadcast, rights holder, PA for the Boston Red Sox. You were the host for WSSH. Could you talk more about some of the skills you learned in other positions? Sure.
Yeah, I came right out of here. As a matter of fact, while I was still working here, I was working on the air in Boston, doing some DJing on part-time nights, weekends. As soon as I graduated, I thought that's all I wanted to do, is be a full-time DJ. So I did that for a while, and it was fun for a while, but it was changing. The business started to change even then, 40 years ago, where the DJs didn't have as much say in the music they played, the style of the broadcast, and we were being told what to say. It was starting to become very restricted. And at the same time, I was doing a lot of radio production, and so I went more in the behind-the-scenes production avenue. I thought that was more fun. I also was working for the Red Sox, so I was able to do a lot of things there with PA announcing. I also produced broadcasts for them. So I really enjoyed both being on the air, but also being behind the scenes. Those were both a lot of fun for me, and I wanted to be able to do something that was creative all the time. So all of that I learned here at Curry, and I learned at WMLN. I honed those skills. And then just working in the industry, you learn how to do even more with it. And so I really consider myself pretty lucky that I've done so many different things in the business.
Well, do you have any advice for incoming students who haven't really considered radio before?
Well, sure. When we talk about radio now, we don't just talk radio. It's really audio. It's a broader subject than just radio. Certainly, we train people to work in the radio, how to talk up music, how to play records, how to do a talk show or a sports show. But all of those skills can also be used on the internet, can be used in podcasting, can be used in streaming. So the skills that we learn at the radio station really can work in a much broader context than just the radio station. But of course, those of us who love radio like to do that as well.
All right, well, that's all the time we have today. Thank you for joining us on Curry Talks. Tune in to WMLN 91.5 on the dial and on the Tune It In app. Thank you, Ken, for coming out with our time, and join us next time on Curry Talks.
Hello and welcome to Curry Talks. My name is Pat Meduno and this is the show where we learn more about the Curry community. Today's guest is Joan Connolly, Director for Global and Career, or Advisor for Global and Career Services at the Global and Career Center. She's here to talk about the services offered in the center. Welcome, Joan.
Joanne, thank you.
Joanne, sorry.
That's okay.
Seeing from the title of your center, it seems that there are a lot of things in your department works on. What are some of the things you can tell me that happens at the center?
Yeah, so for the global part, we work with study abroad. So say you wanted to study abroad somewhere and you're not really sure where, you would come to our office and we'd help you explore the options and explore the costs and the classes and all that. And then we also support international students. And then for the career side of our office, I am the main career advisor. I look at resumes, cover letters, can help you do like assessments if you're not sure what you want to major in or what job you want to do. And we can also help you guys find jobs and internships through Handshake.
That sounds great. Now first, let's talk about internships. What does your office do to help students get internships?
So each major has an internship facilitator specific to their department. So as if you're a comm major, you would have a specific internship facilitator that would be different than a business major. And then once you contact them and fill out a couple forms, we can help you again with Handshake, look for internships, and then help you make those connections. We don't place students in internships, but we help you as much as we can to get the job.
Now I know that it's a minimum GPA of 2.75 to get an internship, and how do the different majors approach internships differently?
So it's really going to depend on the major and on the faculty internship facilitator. So some facilitators might have more connections than others. I know there's a couple criminal justice professors who have connections with local police departments, so they can get you in there pretty easily. And then, so yeah, it just depends on the major. Like comm majors might intern at a radio station or a TV station. Business majors could go to an office.
Yeah, I see. That sounds very interesting. Now, switching gears, I know the study abroad program is ramping back up in spring of 2022. How can a student sign up for study abroad?
So spring, it is actually, the deadline is passed, but if you would like to study abroad in the summer or fall, the deadline is usually around mid-April. So the first thing you can do if you're interested in study abroad is to make an appointment with our office, and you can do that on Handshake.
I understand that your office also assists in 1-week academic intensive trips. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Sure. So we have 3 that are going to go in the spring right now. We have a public health class going to Portugal for spring break, and that is all full, and we're super excited for them. And then we have a nursing class that is going to France for actually 3 weeks in the summer, because nursing students don't get to study abroad for an entire semester. They're all really excited, and they all really signed up super fast. So also full. And then we have a graphic design class going to London for a week in the summer as well. So we're really excited to be sending people out again.
Well, that's awesome. Now, lastly, Curry students aren't forgotten after they graduate. How does your office assist students after they've graduated?
We assist every single Curry alum with anything they might need in the career section of their life. So even if they graduated 20 years ago, I actually did have a student graduate a long time ago. They had never written a resume before for like today's modern age of resumes. So she was able to come back and get help completely free of charge, and she can come back as many times as she wants. Anyone can.
And so this is eligible for all students who have gone to Curry?
Yep, that's correct. Any alumni from Curry.
That's amazing. Now, if more students want to learn more about the Global and Career Center, they can go online to the Curry website and visit you guys at the Learning Commons.
Yep.
Well, we are just about out of time. My name is Patrick Meduno, and thank you for joining me on another edition of Curry Talks.
Hello, you are currently listening to Curry Talks Extra. In this interview, I will be interviewing somebody who I would say means a lot when it comes to this college. So, without further ado, please welcome Jools Templeton to the studio. Jools, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So, I know that you have been here for 12 years, but what did you do prior or before you got hired here at Curry College?
Well, prior to Curry, I was in a relationship where I was only doing my fried dough, and after that ended, I was out doing temp work and working different functions all over Boston. I worked with Wolfgang Puck for some time.
Wow.
So, yeah,
How was that? I'm just wondering.
that was really exciting and super fun. Yeah.
Wow, like that must have been a really amazing experience in order for you
It was.
to do that.
It truly was.
So then, speaking of that, you must have had other opportunities, like other job opportunities besides this. But why would you say that you chose Curry College over the other choices that you had?
Well, that's actually a funny story. As I was temping, I used to actually go to Babson quite often because I had a vehicle, and the district manager there knew that they were putting up this new building here and changing the meal plan, and he called me and asked me if I would be willing to help out just for a week or two because I had a smiling face and he thought that was important. And 12 years later, I'm still here.
Wow, that's a really great story. And I assume that once you got that call, I assume that you were very happy about it, right?
I was. I used to come to Curry back in the 70s a lot,
Wow.
just to hang out with the older kids.
Wow, that's really amazing. So I'm a senior here. So like my first few years here, I've noticed something when it comes to you. Like whenever I'm either with someone or whenever I'm by myself getting food, like you always seem to be talking to other students. Like you always seem to be there for other students when they need you the most, especially at times at great strength or whether last year before we got shut down due to the pandemic. And so how does it feel that students here call you their home away from home mother figure?
Well, I'm touched by that. I see you guys come in, you're young, you're naive, you have so much you need to learn about college life. And I feel that when you come for a meal, that should be a relaxing time and enjoyable, away from your studies. And it's confusing in that student center, so I just try to help everybody out.
What would you say that what was the best piece of advice that you ever gave to a student?
As shallow as it sounds, I'm going to say this too shall pass and everything will be okay.
Wow, that's really touching because I feel like that could be related to many different things.
Yeah.
So you talked about your fried dough business before. How's that going right now?
Well, I just shut down for the season, but I'm happy to say that I did have a season. The year before, there was no fried dough season. It was pretty horrible. But I'm back up and open, and I'm thankful for that. So it's going well.
It's like, do you make stuff out of fried dough, or do you like just make dough and like just sell it? Like,
Well, I'll tell you, we get in there, if it's not a busy job, we used to empty our purses and fry anything we could wrapped in fried dough. So now I pretty much have a second staple, which is the double stuffed Oreos wrapped in the dough and fried. And they're addicting.
I bet they are. So one more final question that I want to ask you, because obviously you've known this place for so long. Like, I assume that you know pretty much everything about this school, because since you've been here for a while. So talk extensively about, like, what are your hopes for the future of this college, and what are the hopes for you when it comes to your life?
Well, I hope this college continues to do well and lasts for a very, very long time. The women's ice hockey team, that's new this year, and that's exciting. The new buildings, it's just growing so much, and it's really a joy to watch, to see how big it's getting. And yet, it's still a small community.
So do you think that it should be expanded more in some way, or would you say it's good the way it is right now?
Well, there's always room for improvement, always. I think it's wonderful what they've done over COVID and just as of late. So I'd like to see it keep going.
And what are your hopes for yourself and for your family in the times that we're living right now?
I just hope everybody stays healthy and happy. Be happy and healthy.
I agree, because we can all use that now, especially in this time during the pandemic and stuff like that. So that's all of the questions that I have to ask here. But Jools, thank you so much for being here. Like, this was an amazing interview. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me, Arthur.
I'm Arthur Zatola, and you've been watching Curry Talks Extra. Thank you.
Hello and welcome to Curry Talks. I'm Noah Barthelemy, and this is a program where we learn more about our Curry community and the people that surround it. Today's guest is Steven Stackhouse, who's a sophomore, an accounting major, and a resident assistant here on campus. And he's here to sort of talk us through some of the processes about becoming an RA here on campus. Welcome, Steven.
Thank you for having me, Noah.
So, Steven, I know a lot of people consider being an RA at least once in their 4 years here, but don't know a lot about the job. What is it like being an RA? Can you sort of describe what you do and your position?
Yeah, of course. So we just basically, I'm in NCRH for the first years, and basically we guide and help the first years, navigate the first couple weeks of school and any problems they come through, and really just, the adjustment from high school to college is tough for them, so helping them get, their feet wet and start college and, for their first semester and so on. Really give them that good introduction to college.
Definitely. I can understand that being a difficult time, and it seems like you're a really great fit for your position. I can imagine that there's a bunch of requirements to being an RA. Can you sort of talk us through what some of those might be like?
Yeah, so basically you have to have good, good standing with the school, good grades. You have to have, good communication with your residents, good relationships, being able to work through problems and whatnot, and being able to just be a part of the environment and be a good person and allocation to everybody else around.
Well, that's great. I know a lot of people think that there are a bunch of requirements, which are super nice to hear, but I know you get discounted housing. Are there any other benefits to being an RA? Is there any other things that really drove you to this position?
The money's, very nice, and it helps you, tuition's a lot, so it helps you kind of, lower the tuition and everything, but, the only other perks about it is that, you get to just meet new residents and, just see new people, learn new ways, new jobs, and different ways around campus.
That definitely sounds super interesting, especially because you're so involved in so many aspects, like our lacrosse team here at Curry.
Yeah.
And I imagine between being an RA and playing lacrosse that it can be a very difficult thing. Do you find yourself having a lot of free time? Does the position allow for that?
Very, very very limited, but you have some time, and now it's fall, so it's not a real season yet, so we're able to have a little bit more free time, but when the season comes around, it's going to be very, very tight schedule.
Well, I can definitely see this being something that is beneficial to a lot of people, especially you, as you were just talking about. Do you feel like this is a position that will be beneficial to all sorts of people? And if you do, why do you think that?
I think this is a position for, it could be for anybody, but for people that really want to help and don't mind, putting 150% in when, the other people don't want to, especially late at night if somebody gets locked out at, early in the morning and you're sleeping and you have to get, you get woken up by someone. Just being able to be positive and that you're helping somebody out when they need you.
I can definitely relate to that. I've been that resident a bunch of times. Can you tell us a little bit about your position on the lacrosse team?
So yeah, I'm a sophomore here at Curry. I'm an attackman, so I play offense. Basically, we're looking forward to the spring season. We're looking strong, and hopefully we do great.
Well, I'm definitely excited to come out to a lot of these games, and I definitely agree that if we didn't have RAs here on campus, definitely wouldn't be as safe, and I'm so glad that you're able to sort of sit down and work with first years. I can understand, being a first year at one point, how difficult that transition's been. Stephen, I want to thank you so much for joining us here at Curry Talks, and we're definitely excited to have more editions in just a couple of moments. I want to thank all of you for watching, and this has been another episode of Curry Talks.
Thank you, Noah.